Hi everyone, and today we'll be doing units 3 and hopefully 4, and with a little bit of luck we'll be finished units 3 and 4, and probably this week we'll get into unit 5. I will teach you. Again, just as a reminder, we do have to make it to page or unit 18, that's the counterpoint one. So what you need to do, you need to focus. Some of you were a little bit late in starting your homework this week. I know you've been busy at school, but you need probably the weekend, try to catch up on some of your work. Don't be too far behind on your handing in the assignments. You want to make sure that by Tuesday, Wednesday, that you've already handed in, gotten them back. Some of you, without naming names, some of you have done really well. You've handed in the units and have gotten the marks back and saw where you're having trouble. So make sure that you're up to date on the Unit 1, Fundamentals of Music, and then you've started the Introduction to 4-Part Harmony. The people who have handed in have gotten extremely well on analyzing passing notes, neighbor notes. That was on page 18, 19, and then started the work on page 20. That was checking off the ones that were, the chords that were good, making sure that all the ranges between the notes were perfect. Remember, we started that work last class with this chart. Between soprano and alto, less than or equal to an octave, right? And all the ones on top of page 13 adhere to that, to those rules. They are within those rules. The first one, less than or equal to an octave. Alto and tenor, sixth, that means less than or equal to an octave. And then the tenor and bass was an octave and a half, or a perfect 12th. Remember that. The ones in close position were the ones with the tenor to soprano being bigger. The one in open position were bigger than an octave. D, G to B, D to G is an 11th, so therefore that's open position. And then the closed position ones were less than an octave between tenor to soprano. GBD, there it is. GBD, less than or equal to an octave. Less than or equal to an octave. That's 1/5 only. That's the chord spacing. We learned about passing tones and neighbor tones. Okay. Hopefully you've managed to play some of these passing tones. Passing. Neighbor. There's a neighbor tone. And I'm waiting for the rest of you to hand in the second unit. Okay, make sure that you reach page 22, 23. If you have any problems, please call me. Don't hesitate. And I will hook up with you in the mornings between 9 to 11. And I will be able to discuss and talk about your problem areas. Okay, Unit 3, cadences, 5 and 4 chord. This is a review for most of you from the rudiments, and this is a review of authentic and half cadences. We start off with Beethoven, Okay, we have 4 phrases in this piece. Third phrase. Fourth phrase. They recommend playing each phrase with a cadence. Cadence is the ending of a phrase. And it's either wanting to close the phrase or wanting to stay open. Half cadence is open. That's 1 to 5. Listen again. 1 to 5 is called a half cadence. You can see it at the bottom of page 25. C major. Sorry, that's 1 to 4. Let's look at 1 to 5 in the Beethoven piece. The first phrase, 5 chord, 1. These are the implied harmony. We call those implied because when you hear a melody in D major, we want to put a 1 chord under there. And then a 5 chord in the second bar, A major triad, 1 chord, 1, 5, 5. That's right there, 1 to 5, half cadence. Second phrase, 5 to 1. So most of the time, cadences, 95% of the time, they will be between bars, between bar 3 and 4. But in this case, it is in the bar. So 1 to 5. But it's on a strong beat going to another strong beat in 4/4 time. If you have strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak would be strong, weak, strong. So you get a strong beat to another one. And so therefore, remember, don't end on a weak beat. And then at the end, it's the same, except it's an authentic cadence. Authentic cadence. 5 to 1. Okay? Half cadence, 1 to 5. You're going to find out that anything to 5, so even 4 to 5 is called a half cadence. 1 to 5. Later on, you'll get 2 to 5. 2 to 5. So in D major it would be EGB, 2 to 5, and that's still a half cadence. So you could remember that forever. That is, anything to 5 will be called a half cadence. An authentic cadence, there's really only one, and that's 5 to 1. 5 to 1. Now there's something called imperfect authentic. In short, IAC, and then PAC. If they ask you what kind of cadence it is, and they're looking for, let's say, whether it's perfect or imperfect, what does that mean? Well, the imperfect authentic cadence just simply means that the melody is moving away from 1. That means you end up with a third, a mediant, in the high range. So when I go 5 to 1, but what's in the soprano? Can you see that? That's a B. So it sounds, it's kind of final, 5-1, but not quite 100% final. So the melody tells you is going from 2 to 3, to second note 2, to the third mediant, and it leaves an imperfect authentic. It's still 5-1 authentic, but it's not quite perfect because the melody ends on the third, on the mediant. Listen again. G major, imperfect authentic. Now we end with an authentic, perfect authentic. Right now, so you get a re do. For some of you who know a little bit of solfege, it's re do. Second to the first. Did you hear that? Second to the first. So you get 5 to 1. And that's called perfect authentic cadence. Again, perfect authentic cadence is 5 to 1 in the home key. Imperfect authentic cadence is 5 to 1 where you end on the mediant. Listen. There it is. Please remember that. All right, the dominant and subdominant chords, this is what we're dealing with now. This is the fulfillment of all the primary triads. Primary triads are 1, 4, and 5. 3.1 here shows you that the root of the dominant triad is the fifth. Fifth. Dominant means 5. So C major, there it is. Okay, 1 to 5. And the next one shows the subdominant. Subdominant root is the fifth below the tonic. Okay? Yeah. And forming a part of the circle of keys. So the circle of keys is also called circle of fifths. And that means if you see it, the circle, you will see quickly that going up 5, that's the dominant. And the subdominant means the dominant below. 5 notes below is the subdominant. But remember, the subdominant is the 4th note. The dominant is the 5th note. That's how to remember those. In minor, it's the same way. Capital 1, major. Small 1, minor. The dominant chord uses 5, 7, and 2. The dominant note, the leading note, and the second. Same sound for the 5 in C minor. Why? Oh, because of the raised 7. So you can put on this. That's called the raised 7th. Raised 7th being on page 25, 3.3. Okay? So you can mark that in for me so that you can remember in minor scales you will raise the 7th note. Now, let's move on. And we move on. The subdominant chord uses scale degree 4, 6, and 1. So in C major, there, F, A, C, there it is. F, A, C is the subdominant. And you get scale degree 4, the 4th, the subdominant, the submediant. You don't have to memorize all those, just know what the chords are. And the tonic. So F, A, C. In minor scale, C minor, it will be a minor triad. There it is. It does not contain the leading note, and it contains the tonic note. So the urgency to move to the tonic is not as intense. When you have 5 to 1, the leading note searches the tonic and it wants to go to 1 right away. Right? When you have 5, 1, but 4 to 1, it takes its time to go back home because of the tonic being in the subdominant chord and the tonic chord. So when you do 4 to 1, you're holding the tonic note. When you're doing 5 to 1, you're holding the dominant note. Play the following passages. And you should get a chance to play these at the bottom. No homework except playing. 4. Next one. 5. 1. in minor. 1, 4, 1, 5, 1. So you could see, they want you to hear, to be able to hear how 4 is a restful, quieter sound. When you do 1 to 4, back to 1, it's more relaxed. The active chord seeking to go home. So 5 has the leading note, back home. And it's more active. That's what it tells you. Turn the page. Now, keyboard style. Keyboard style is essentially the same rules as SATB, except you're using 3 notes in the right hand, right? 3 notes in the right hand, and 1 note is played in the left hand. That's called the introduction to the keyboard style. So this is in keyboard style. This piece by Chopin, don't forget that's 2 bass clefs, would be 1 chord, 4 chord, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, etc. We call that keyboard style, and it comes from one melody. It comes from one melody played in the right hand, like this piece. I'm playing the Adagio Flute Sonata. 1 chord, 4 chord. We call this keyboard style because it's played on a keyboard, on a piano nowadays, but it would be played on a harpsichord. And what you got is, you must, during the Baroque, when they wrote in this style, the top note was always the melody. Below that, you'd put the other 2 notes. So it's the same rules as SATB. This is called SATB when all the soprano, alto, tenor, bass are all, the soprano moves with the stem going up, the alto stem going down. When you put them all together in one hand, here I have F, F-A-C, here it is. That's keyboard style. I'm doing 3 notes, all the stems always go up. And you need to remember that, okay? The stems will always go up. Hopefully you could see that in my video, but you have it in your book. 1, another 1, 2 F's, A, and a C, 2 F's, A, and a C, keyboard style. This is a 5 chord, GBD. 5, still 5, all in keyboard style. The next one, however, is a 4 chord of C minor, minor triad. This is a 1, F, F, A, C. This is another one. Can I play it? Yes. This is another one, F, F, A, C. And they're all the same. Next one. Next one. 5 chord with a raised 7, 2 G's, a B, and a D. 2 G's, a B, and a D. G, G, B, D. The soprano's a G. The pinky in the left hand way down there is a G. I can hardly play that, but you have to try. There. And the next one, 5-1. Whoops. Sorry. G, B, G, D. All the same. They're all the same. That's all in SATB. All right, brand new cadence. That is a review from Rudiments class. Again, there's no homework for you here. This is called the plagal cadence. Plagal cadence is 4-1. 4-1. Also called an amen cadence, amen or church cadence. In the Rudiments book, they explain that. You get a fourth, the 4-1. 4-1. Just the same way as this sound. The Chopin on page 27, listen. The nocturne, which means night piece. 4-1. That's the sound you get. 4-1. 5 finally comes in. There's 5-1. Then it turns into treble clef. If you play it, remember that. 5, 1, 4, 1, 5, and we have a brand new chord. Did you see how they snuck it in without warning us? It's a 6. Interesting, 5 to 6. And then a 5, 7, 5, 7, dominant 7, back to 1. There it is. So this uses 1, uses 4, uses 5, uses 6, and a dominant 7 on page 27. Now, how do you change chords when you deal with SATB? This is what your course is about, harmony. How do you put something together? Well, this is super important for you to play. Please play and read. I know you're all good enough to play, sight read and play these, okay? A couple times through. This is C major. In keyboard style, this is keyboard. When you have 3 notes in my right hand, 3 notes. So it's not vocal style, it's keyboard style, how you would play it at the piano. 1 to 4. 4 to 1. 1 to 5. 5, major now, C major, and to 1. And in SATB will not sound any different except it's opened up. 4 to 1, sorry, 1 to 4. 1 to 4. 4, C minor to 1. 1 to 5. And 5 to 1 at the end. So here are the golden rules. Right down here, I put 3 stars. Right? If you memorize nothing except these, you've got everything beat. When writing harmony, composers strive to make it seamless, to make it smooth, very smooth. This is achieved in 2 ways. Having either the soprano, alto, or tenor repeat the note that is common to both chords. So what you must do is, if I play C, E, G, and F, A, C, which note is the same? And you say C, E, G, F, A, C. Oh, it's the C that's the same. All right. That must hold. You can see a dotted line. I'll make it bigger. There's an arrow right there. My C pinky, C, E, G, holds over F, A, C. All right. And then the bass, of course, goes 1 to 4, C to F. Listen. By moving the remaining upper notes stepwise. So the secret is they move by step. They move by 1 note each. E and G moves up to F and A. Listen. 1 to 4. F, A, C. Do you hear it? C, E, G, F, A, C. C, E, G, F, A, C. And I'm holding the notes. Where's the holding note here? The second one. F, A, C, and C, E, G. Oh, the C again. I'll make it darker for you. And that is in minor. Listen, 4 to 1. Backwards. Got it. 1 to 5 is the same. What am I holding? C, E, G, G, B, D. C, E, G, G, B, D. Please try and memorize these so that on the exam it'll be nice and quick for you. C, E, G, G, B, D. Well, the G is the same note, so he's the one that holds. That's the rule of your harmony. The note that holds 1 to 5 with a raised 7, of course, the raised 7, and 5 to 1 C major. These have exactly the same rules. Exactly. In SATB, I'm holding the held note is the soprano, C, E, G, going to F, A, C. The C is here in the tenor. Here the G is in the soprano, and the G is in the tenor. Please play these, read and underline and memorize. All right. Contrary motion now without common tone. Because sometimes the melody changes where you cannot hold a note. You cannot hold a note. And I want you to remember this page 28. GBD to 1, CEG. 5 to 1. Now listen to it in minor. Okay, so what happened? With the soprano 2 to 1, when you have re do is the soprano, re do 2 to 1. The inner voices drop a third to the nearest available chord. Listen again. Right, I'll make this a little bit bigger for you there. You could see it a little clearer maybe. And we'll do it like that. There. So, when you have re do, it means one note cannot hold. There is no common one. So what happens is the voices, the inner voices, drop to a third to the nearest available chord note while the bass moves in contrary motion. Contrary motion means opposite. If re comes down to do, it means it's descending. Left hand is ascending, going up, and I play them together. Oh, that's called contrary motion. Like your scales that are contrary motion. Like that, opposite. So you get, come down to the nearest notes. You could see the little dotted lines in your books. Okay, on page 28. Remember where you are, page 28. And you see so do in the bass. There it is. Is that rule with 5-1 as well? Yes. Listen. 5-1 with minor. Exactly the same. When preserving the common tone in the same chord is not available, the leading note rises to the tonic. It is acceptable for the tonic chord to have a triple root. That means use this as a final cadence. In other words, here I have so dropping to mi as the high voice. Okay? The rest of the chords, the B must go to C, and so does the D go to C. So now I have two C's and the so do in the bass. I have now C, 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 E. Listen again. C, 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 and E. That's in keyboard style. This is keyboard. This is soprano, alto, tenor, bass. Both ways. Remember, we've learned keyboard style today, okay? There's 3 C's and an E because of the direction of those. You could see the stems holding the C and E going up and 1 C coming down. So that's 2 C's and an E in the right hand and 1 in the bass. That means 3 C's and an E. That is acceptable, people. That is acceptable from now on as a final cadence when you're writing in both keyboard and soprano, alto, tenor, bass. As a final cadence. I wouldn't do it in the middle of a piece though, if you can avoid it. That's here. There, 3 C's and an E. No G. Listen again. Done. 3 C's and an E. Now this one's wrong. This is where you're gonna get your red marks back. When you get those exams back, the less red marks, the higher your exam mark's gonna be. So you want to avoid this. This is what you want to learn. You want to learn how to avoid these. So play and read. PNR, this page. PNR means play and read. Play and read again right? If you're smart, you'll play and read this page, these pages for me. 5-1. Keeping the common tone and keep the tenor by step is impossible here because it results in a tonic without a third. So if I try to do this, Re, Do, and I hold the G, well then the left hand, if I hold the common tone like I normally should, then I'm going to have no E. Listen, that's the common way. That means the E is there. But now, the way they did it, held the G in the alto. Listen. There's no E. It's just C, 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 and a G. This is wrong. As well, you cannot go from a leading note to a mediant. Listen again. The leading note is the 7th, the B natural, to the mediant. In this case, it's a diminished fourth because it's a minor scale. It's not correct. It will not sound right. How would you correct it? Example C. Of course. Make the leading note, you could drop it to become the 5th of the chord. Instead of T, Do, I go T, Sol. Oh, I could do that? It's sort of like cheating and getting away with it, though. Listen. That's what it sounds like. Now you have a full chord here, G, G, B, D, and at the end, C, C, E, G. It simplifies and it gets all the chords correctly with both roots, 3rd and 5th. Listen to the ending. This one has triple root. Remember to use that at the final chord of the piece, at the final chord of the piece. This one is wrong, example E, because of the bass, the dominant root must move directly to the tonic. So this is no good because I'm holding the G. Well, I can't do that. You have to go to C, like this, listen. That's wrong, wrong bass. This is the correct way. Right. Listen again. Play these. Play all these X's, knowing and listening to the wrong and how to fix it. This is wrong. This is how to fix it. This is maybe wrong. This is how to fix it, okay? So the first item is any two voices, okay? When you're doing soprano, alto, tenor, bass, right? Any two voices, right? The bass to the soprano, way down to way up, or the bass to the tenor, or the bass to the alto, the tenor to the soprano. Any two voices can never have a parallel fifth. What's parallel fifth? When two notes, like this, two notes jump up to become another fifth, or go up to an octave. Let's say jump, both of them. So two C's to become two D's. Listen, that's perfect octave. Here's perfect fifth. I'll play that one. So a C and a G jumps up to become a G and a D. Yes, it's bigger than an octave. It's a compound interval. We don't care. C to G is an octave and a half, but it's still a fifth. You hear it? Same sound. Going to G and D, perfect fifth. It brings back medieval or ancient music, and we do not like ancient medieval music. So this is harmony from 1600. The sound that we like is modern harmony. That's what this is. So here's octaves, F to F, down to C and C. This is wrong. Both of these in your music is wrong. Here's examples of them. Play them. You can hear it. It's got parallel octaves. This first one, parallel fifths. And the next one, parallel octaves. These are wrong. How to correct it? Of course, you move to the nearest note and see if you can hold a note. For the first one, 1 to 5, we could hold the G. Listen. That's beautiful. This is correct. So play the wrong one, play the right one, and how to correct it. This is the second one, 4 to 1. And I'm holding the C right there in the middle. So try to remember, hold the notes and move smoothly, move one note each. Now, this is interesting. Between two voices, you said, you'll say, hey, Fernando, this is 2/5, 2 parallel fifths, G and D, G and D. Because we're staying in the same chord, it doesn't count. When you move to the same note is a perfect fifth, going to another perfect fifth with no movement. It has to go up or down. That's called parallel fifth. If it's holding two notes, listen. That is correct. So therefore, this is okay. These are okay. All right? As well, when you have a 5/7, you're going to learn a 5/7 coming up soon. That's in the next chapter, I think. You have one diminished fifth interval, GBDF. The B and the F is called a tritone. Tritone. This is called tritone. Tritone. That means diminished fifth or augmented fourth. I hope you can see that. Diminished fifth, tritone, equals to a diminished fifth. Sounds like a choo-choo train. Especially in the high range, B and F. Or F to B. Just sounds like a choo-choo train sound. That's what they use to get you off the tracks. And when I play that, I go to, it looks like a perfect fifth parallel. Listen, C and G down to B and F. Oh, but one is diminished, it says. One is perfect. So that's allowed. Yes, it's got a check mark. So this would be marked correct. So here we have perfect fifth, diminished fifth, and then it resolves nicely. You're going to realize later on you have to memorize that is correct. Is there any homework here? No, you just play and read. Please. All right, couple more pages to learn. Consecutive perfect fifths and octaves. This is called contrary. Contrary means when the left hand goes up the right hand goes up, left hand goes down, you're going contrary motion, trying to get a contrary motion for you. There, like this. Or backwards. And you get G goes up to D, C drops to G right here. But guess what? It's still a perfect fifth. And when it ends, it's still a perfect fifth. This is wrong. So you have consecutive fifths and octaves. They're exactly like parallel, even though they're contrary motion. Are you allowed to do those? No, you're not allowed to do them. Okay? All right. Direct, perfect fifths and octaves. Direct ones are exposed. They are two voices leaping in the same direction to a perfect fifth or a perfect octave. Listen again. They leap to a perfect fifth and a perfect octave. So the A goes to C and and the left hand, the bass goes to a perfect octave as well. So you get, they're both leaping. The bass is an F, goes to C, and the A goes up to C. That's called a direct or exposed octaves. People, I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes examiners may even allow that if you're getting a low mark between, let's say, 60s to pass. So let's say you're getting 59 and they see one of these. Sometimes they may let it go. But if you're getting 95, if you're getting a scholarship level, 95%, and they see it, for sure you'll get a mark deducted. So remember what I'm saying. Try to avoid it if you can. Try to avoid direct or exposed octaves. Sorry about that. There we go. These ones, please play them, the ones that are wrong, and the corrected version. Okay? Voice overlap is this. When a bass line or a soprano or alto, you cannot go above his range, the last note that he was in. So G and B, B is the tenor, the bass tries to overtake it by going above the B, and he goes up to a high C in the next chord. That's called voice overlap. You cannot do that. Listen, the next one would be wrong to do this. Because the G goes to C, it moves above the tenor. He goes above the tenor. You cannot do that. And the next one is wrong, is for the same reason. The bass overtakes the tenor. So what do? Oh, just make him go down. Make the bass drop. So do. Listen. No problem. Now the B can go up. The tenor can go up to where he needs to. And the soprano and alto. Beautiful. Wrong, and corrected. Now, you've been taught regular passing tones and regular neighbor notes. Now you've got accented ones. What do you mean? Oh, it's on a strong part of a beat. Yes, because every 4 bar or 4 beats, right? 4 beats, you get this strong, weak, when you have eighth notes. So every beat, every quarter note has 2 eighths in it, like this. And it's strong, weak. When a passing note hits on a strong beat, listen again. Here is a strong beat. We call that accented. He's coming down, he's passing. Of course, these are regular passing tones. These are on a strong beat. Therefore, they're crunchy. Listen, if I put a chord to this, C, E, G, because it's a 1 chord, okay, the whole thing is a 1 chord. All the way through 1 chord until here, that's a 5 chord. So listen to it. Some of you may have played this. Like that. So you get this 1 chord, 1. Oh, it was very, very crunchy. So these are accented passing or accented neighbor. The B does not fit C, E, G. So you have to circle it. Anything that does not fit, we call them decoration notes, like passing or neighbors. This one's on a strong part of a beat. Listen to it, that B. Right now. Regular passing are coming. And that's what you have to remember. Your brand new one, right? You have now passing, neighbors, and you have accented passing and accented neighbors. So how many declaration notes do you know? 4. We will end up with about 9 or 10 by the time the exam comes. So we're almost about halfway there. Okay, I'm going to move on. And I'd like you to read this by yourself on page 32, because I want to make sure that you have enough homework in Unit 3, and I will teach then Unit 4 and 5 in my next video, which I will get to you shortly as well. So read a little bit and play this on page 32 and read about harmonic rhythm. Harmonic rhythm essentially tells you that every bar has a certain life to it. Where would you put in the harmony? Where does the harmony go? We call that harmonic rhythm. Have strong beats, a strong bass line that goes 1 to 4 to 5 to 1. Here it's a very weak one because they have the same chord across the bar line. You're not allowed to do that. So you can't go 1, 4, and then a 4 and a strong beat going to 5. This one is correct because 4 is on a strong beat. 1, 4, and then 5, 1. I think I played too many 4s. But 1, 1, 4, 5, 1. That one's a good progression with a good harmonic rhythm. All right, you can see I've started your homework. This is your homework, right? Now, some of you were doing every single question. You don't have to. Remember I said 50% I'll be happy with. If you are having extra time, you want me to mark it, no problem. But I'll be happy if you could do the first one, Mendelssohn, with using one chord, 4 and 5. That's 1, 4, and 5. So you could see A major, this is all 1, then it goes to 5, then 1. And at the end of that, after you finish getting all the harmony, remember this is treble clef, please be careful when you do this. This will be worth about 15% of the exam when you do analysis. Every chapter starts off with analysis. And do 50% of that. And the second one, you could just circle the neighbor notes or passing notes or accented passing tones, okay, after you put in your harmony, okay? So 50% of that. Then try your cadences. This is F major, and of course 5 to 1. You will put 5 to 1 is called authentic cadence. C to F, I won't tell you what that is, okay? If it's 5 to 1, you have to tell me if it's perfect authentic or imperfect authentic cadence. And try that for these, please. Now the next one, see if you could find out the mistakes. This is greater than an octave between alto tenor. So this one's wrong because it tells me the spacing is wrong. So the spacing is wrong here. Maybe the doubling is wrong. Maybe the voice crossing is wrong here. Why? Because the thumbs cross right here. So that's called the voice crossing. Okay? Do 50% of these. I've done the first one. This is the alto tenor, soprano, alto tenor, bass. 2 G's, a B and a D. Going to 2 C's, an E and a G. Listen again. 2 G's, a B and a D to 1. 5 to 1. 1 to 5. Here's another one. Please do 50% of these. Try for some of the harder ones too, please, at the bottom. And give me a good progression, good spacing between the chords, 2 Bs, a D and an F, 2 Bs. It says 1, those are all 1. And then I go to 5, 1 to 5, half cadence. Here I'm doing page 37, your last homework. Okay? You try to make it to page 40. Try to make it to page 40. This is your melody writing with keyboard style. This is called keyboard style. Please make sure that you get that, okay? And I will stop the video, but I will restart another one so that I'll do a little bit more work in this before teaching you Unit 4, okay? And that will be your new homework up to here, and I will teach you how to do from 37 to 40 in a second.